finally, we have a president that everybody loves and his approval ratings are sky high. It's the president of Ukraine, but still.
Доброго вечора, ми з України.
Hello, comrades, and welcome back to Ushanka Show. Здравствуйте, дорогие товарищи, в эфире программа Ushanka Show. So today I would like to answer the question by Salt Miner 89, a question on a different topic. I remember in a different video you said you had a lot of reservations about President Zelensky being a former comedian and actor. Has your opinion changed since the war and in the way he's conducting himself and Ukraine? First of all, thank you for your question. That's correct. About 3 years ago, I did record a video about newly elected President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, and I was talking about when a TV show became a reality. So let's talk about what's changed since then. By the way, if you somehow missed that video or you weren't interested in Volodymyr Zelenskyy back then, which I totally understand since the main topic of this channel is life in the Soviet Union, I'll post the link in the comment section and you can check it out. In a nutshell, back then I was truly skeptical about Zelensky becoming a president and becoming a successful president of Ukraine because he won by a huge margin. I believe like 70% of people in Ukraine voted for him, and his party, Sluga Naroda, which translates as the servant of the people, and it's the name of the show that he played the president of Ukraine. Also, they took majority in the parliament, so he had a total majority, total support. But it's one thing to play a president in a show, and it's totally different thing to be a president in reality. By the way, I believe that Netflix right now has that show, The Servant of the People, so I would recommend to watch it. It's actually, I found it extremely funny. So that would be a good idea to just kind of introduce yourself to Zelensky as an actor and comedian, and to see how he played as a president and then compare to what actually happened. So Volodymyr Zelenskyy was elected in 2019, so he pretty much had 3 years trying to fix the country and especially fix the situation with Russia, because back then there was already slow-burning war going on in the eastern Ukraine. If you remember, 2014, Ukraine lost Crimea. It was occupied by Russia or annexed by Russia, and actually Ukraine didn't put up any resistance in Crimea, which is a totally different topic to discuss why. I actually stumbled upon some information that West suggested to Ukrainian government at that time, wasn't Zelensky, not to put any resistance, not to fight the Russians, just let them take Crimea, which is interesting to actually go into more and discover why. Back then, I still had a lot of my Soviet-era illusions. I truly believe that it's a good idea to be on the friendly terms with Russia. Don't piss them off. It's better to be friends with Russia than with the West. And then, of course, after 2014, when President Yanukovych had to run away to Russia, and then suddenly Russia occupies Crimea, I pretty much was like, yeah, this is what happens when you pissed off Russia. So I actually kind of like was okay almost with it, but then of course it didn't stop there. You let the crocodile snatch zebra's leg and you think he's gonna stop? No, next thing, Putin went after eastern Ukraine, and that's what the real war pretty much started. They call it civil war, but it was never a civil war. There was people coming from Russia, former military, former special forces, and they were setting up governments in Donetsk and Lugansk, pretending to be locals. And back then it was really important to prove that actually Russians were there, and that's what this famous term came from, "Их там нет," because that's what Putin announced. There are no people, our people there, so they are not there. So that's "Их там нет," they are not there. And that was a nickname for those soldiers that were fighting in eastern Ukraine on the Russian side. They were "Их там нет," they are not there. So when Volodymyr Zelenskyy was elected as the president in 2018, the war in eastern Ukraine was already going on for 5 years. So Ukrainian people are pretty much tired, worn out. The economy was not doing great. And Zelensky promised that he will find a way to stop the war, make a deal with Putin, And since he kind of like a Russian-speaking Jewish person, you can't really call him nationalist because there is really nothing Ukrainian nationalist in Russian-speaking Jewish guy. Ukrainians believed him, and I strongly believe that his show, enemy of the people, I would say, servant of the people, greatly helped him because they saw how he did good on TV screen, and I truly believe that he can do just as good in real life. Unfortunately, I was correct, and in 3 years, Zelensky popularity collapsed. Now in like November of 2021, so roughly 3 months before the war, 72% of Ukrainians were disappointed in performance of Zelensky, and actually they said that his approval rating was lower than Yanukovych approval before the Maidan in 2014. So that's how badly Zelensky was doing. He was not a professional politician. He was a good actor, but he was definitely overwhelmed. It was way above his pay grade. And of course, you have to remember that Ukraine was in really bad shape. You need to be a really good president to successfully do anything in a country like Ukraine. It's way easier to be successful president in the healthier democracies like maybe Canada, France, or United States. But when your country is at war, it's corrupt, it has a lot of heritage from the Soviet Union. You need to be really good professional politician, not professional actor. And then on February 24th, 2022, one guy from Kremlin announced special military operation against Ukraine because suddenly he realized that he needed to do something about Donbas area because for 8 years those Ukrainian Nazis were shelling and killing innocent people, but for 8 years Putin just couldn't make his mind what to do there, and suddenly only in 2022 he decided that he needs to fix the situation, and we had the horrible war. And we all remember what happened in those first scariest days and weeks of war in the end of February and the beginning of March. Pretty much everyone expected Zelensky and his government just to run away from Kyiv because Russian troops were pretty much like 20 kilometers, if not closer, to the capital of Ukraine. But then almost like a miracle happened, and Zelensky spread his wings or just like rose from the ashes and became a completely different person and a completely different president. And before I give you my take on that, I just want to say that I'm very grateful for what he did, that he didn't run away, that he stood up, that he kind of inspired his people and his army to hold the ground and fight back. But there is also some other things we need to talk about it and think about it when we analyze why Zelensky went this route. If you really think about it, Zelensky had only two options, right? He could run away or say evacuate, and I believe Americans or other Western allies offered him help in live in the capital and go somewhere, I don't know, Poland or Britain and set up a government in exile. So that was one option, and another option, just stay in Kyiv and try to fight. And Zelensky chose second option, which is, I said, all kudos to him for doing that. You may disagree with me, and I would like to see your comments, what you think about it. But I believe that for Volodymyr Zelensky, there was a really easy choice. Because option number one, to run away from Kyiv, it will destroy his life, his career, his, I don't want to say heritage. So he will be remembered in the history of Ukraine and the history of the world of president who ran away in the face of danger, who almost like betrayed his country. So there'll be, like that walk of shame in the Game of Thrones, that he will always be remembered, and his kids and his grandkids will be shamed to have a Zelensky last name if he will run for his life. So option number one, to run away, didn't offer not a single benefit except saving your own life, but I think that by staying in Kiev, Zelensky didn't really risk his life because I don't believe Putin would consider killing him. Even if the Russian troops would take over Kiev and take over Ukraine, I mean, we're going into this crazy ideas because population of 43 million people, size of the Texas, it's not that easy to occupy and control Ukraine as Putin considered. So I don't think Zelensky would get killed if he would get captured. He probably end up sent anyway to the West, because Putin, it just would look so bad for Putin if he would really kill the president of Ukraine. So by staying in Kiev, Zelensky didn't really risk his life, but the benefits of remaining in the capital and being a leader of resistance offered a lot of all those benefits that he became the most popular leader of any country in the world. Still, you need to be very brave to make that decision. And then, of course, now, when decision was made, Zelensky greatly benefit from being a professional actor, for having a team that could write good scripts, good speeches, and he could perform as he did during those horrible months of early March, end of February, and go into April. He changed his image, he quit shaving, he wears pretty much like this dark olive drab uniform, t-shirts, no suits. So he took over a completely different image. His speeches are inspiring. I mean, people working, doing a great job, and he's doing a great job now as an actor and president, because it's very important for any president to be a good actor, right? Because you're in charge of the whole country, so there's millions of people you really, to be honest, don't care. But if anything bad happens, you should make people believe that you care about every single person in that country. I mean, I know I'm being really cold-hearted, but it is what it is. If there's a car exploded and some people died, as a president of the country, you need to really make people believe that you are heartbroken. And Zelensky excelled in this situation, having his professional TV crew helping him to film, helping him to dress properly, to be properly unshaved. I think he's working out more because he's kind of have a bigger arms now. So everything works together now. So his experience as professional showman really benefits him right now and benefits Ukraine. And you need to understand another fact, that the war between Russia and Ukraine, it's also a generational war. You have a Putin born in 1952, and you have Zelensky born in 1978. So Zelensky is only 44 years old right now, and Putin 70. So it's a 30-year gap, pretty much 26 years. It's a different generations. There's the guy who has no clue how to use computer. He can't use social media. He doesn't have any accounts. I'm not talking about TikTok and Twitter. And then you have Zelensky, who is using social media so much. He trolling Putin a lot. I don't know if you remember way back, there was this fake video of Putin being among, I think there was a flight attendants ladies, and it turned out to be it was two videos combined in one, because at one moment Putin moved his hand and it went like in Star Wars through the flowers because it was combination of two videos. So Zelensky took advantage of that, and he, after the end of his speech, he actually moved his hand, he knocked down the vase with flowers just to show that he is real, he is for real, and Putin is fake. So you need to remember that part, because we see this dying Soviet dinosaur fighting this new young generation of, you can say Ukrainian nationalists, but he's a Russian-speaking Jewish guy. You need to remember that. He began studying hardcore Ukrainian language only in 2017. Before that, he was a Russian language person. And if you look at people that surround Zelensky and people that surround Putin, you also will see this generational war, because around Putin is just like him, bunch of old farts with young girlfriends that kind of up to their ears in corruption. They stole billions, and now you have a younger people around Zelensky. I believe his Minister of Defense is my age, only 50, while pretty much everyone around Putin is in their 70s, maybe late 60s. So there's a lot of this generational war going on besides, Russia versus Ukraine and Russian world like a cancer, trying to reintroduce it back to Ukraine. A lot of it just think is just generational thing, and you could tell there is people who are younger, they open-minded, they're more talented, because Putin picked people based on their loyalty, and thank God Zelensky picked people based on their qualities. So we witnessed this unique situation when a president who had extremely high expectations pretty much completely failed them in a peaceful time, and then he recovered and was almost like rebirth, and he turned out to be a great military leader, country in war, while same time we're watching how Putin, whose image was built for 20 years as this tough, shirtless guy riding horses, doing all this, diving, finding some ancient stuff underwater, and they did so much this PR on look how tough is our comrade Putin, but now we see just huge difference between two systems, two mentalities, two generations. And of course, another amazing thing that Zelensky managed to achieve is he created a situation that every politician in the world, pretty much every politician, wants to be on the Zelensky side, because everyone is on Zelensky's side, because this is a battle between good and evil, and everyone wants to be on the good side. So despite this resistance from France, despite the resistance from German government, in the end, they agreed to start supplying weapons, supply finances, supply training. I mean, only Boris Johnson was kind of like, he got this, idea, okay, I can be a new Churchill. So he was first to jump on the Zelensky side. And then, of course, Biden slowly kind of joined. They were waiting, see what happens, initial time, because everyone predicted Ukraine collapse in the 48 hours. But now it's pretty much every leader goes to Kiev to meet Zelensky, and it's like a seal of approval. Look, I'm on the side of the good. So going back to the question, has my opinion changed since the war? Obviously it did. I have tons of respect to Volodymyr Zelensky, and I appreciate his heroism and his willingness to risk his life and lead his people in this horrible war. I do my part. I send money all the time. Anything that comes from Patreon.com right now being sent to Ukraine. So I do what I can do, but I greatly appreciate that he turned out to have quite a nice size of brass balls, and that he could stood up against Putin and his aggression. Well, it's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I would love to hear your opinion about Zelensky. What do you think? Do you agree with my point of view? And we'll talk to you soon. До свидания. Goodbye.
შეშლილი ადამიანი უნდა იქნას იზოლირებული, რადგან ის ემუქრება მშვიდობას ევროპაში. პუტინ სამართლის ხელი მოგწუდება.
Putin, иди нахуй.
Потому что если дороги будут, то по ним неприятель проедет и прямо в сердце России попадет.
Я с ними согласен абсолютно.